day, good day, good day. Listen, I am so excited that it's Thursday and I get to spend this time with you. I just appreciate you all. Of course, when you see me looking this way and that way, you'll know that, of course, I'm on Instagram and I am on in our private Facebook Live. And so, listen, I want to talk with you all about a subject on today. Oh, and let me mention this first. You know, if you are somewhere in the country, North America, where the weather is bad, like it's bad here in Texas, listen, I encourage you to be safe and to stay warm. Take caution in you're traveling to and fro. I know here in Texas it's about 30 degrees, and of course in Texas that's uncommon. We're usually enjoying the warm weather, and we're enjoying, of course, better weather than what we have on today, but that's okay. Although we're in the 30s right now, and if you all are in Texas, just be careful on the roads and take your time wherever you're going, just so that you're able to reach your destination as planned. So with that being said, listen, I want to jump in and I want to talk about helping our teens make good social choices. Sometimes we sit back and as mothers and we're thinking, oh my goodness, why in the world did she make that decision? Or why in the world did he think that that was going to work? Whatever decision it is that our sons or daughters make, we sit back sometimes and we think, how in the world did he think that he was going to get the result that he wanted from that particular decision? I want you to know that there are a number of different reasons that our teens make decisions that are inevitable and that are unwise, and decisions that are not quite thought through. And one of the biggest reasons, I won't go through all of them, other than the fact that they haven't considered the consequences. They're just thinking in the here and now, and they think that they're immortal. The one reason I do want to mention is because their brains have yet to develop as much as we think that their brains have developed. And guess what? That part of their brain that has not developed, that's the part of the brain that makes those decisions. Whether it's decisions that some of them, they do make decisions, whereas they've thought a little longer about, which way they should go as it pertains to that decision. But guess what? Some of these snap judgment decisions, they just think that, it's a good idea, or I'm going to move forward with it. And so I want us to just remain cognizant, mothers, that their brains have yet to develop. And so that is exactly why in those times are exactly when they need our guidance. And so, you know what? We may think that that's just abnormal, the decisions that they're making. But you know what? Because that part of their brain have yet to develop, it's really quite normal, to be quite honest with you. Do we want them to be in that space? Absolutely not. So let's just keep that in mind as they're making decisions and as we're guiding them and leading them, etc. But listen, there's good news. This is how we can help them, and I just encourage all of us to just make sure that we're helping them just all the way around as it pertains to the decisions that they're facing and that they're making. First and foremost, let's just make sure that when our teens are making decisions, first and foremost, that they're safe and that they're there's no harm that they're enduring. That we have placed, of course, borders and boundaries around decisions that we think would totally harm them. Okay, if they're thinking about doing something that's dangerous, of course, would we supply the money for that? Absolutely not. And so that's what I mean by the boundaries and the borders. When they get to the point where they are in their, early 20s, they've been off to college, they've come back home, we call some of them the boomerang teens, then guess what? They've experienced that freedom, they're making their own money, they're practically out on their own. Are we as hovering as we were previously? Probably not. As a matter of fact, when it comes to that point in their lives, we're more so less of a cop and more of a coach at that point. But by the same token, let's just try to create, as much as we can, those boundaries and borders around their decision making. Of course, which shows our unconditional love for them. Secondly, let's remain connected. And let's make time to listen to them. Now, listen, I'm the first to admit, I know we have busy schedules. Some of us are working full-time. Some of us are working and we have a business. Some of us, we're running a household with a number of children, 4, 5, 6, and to give a time and attention to one on a repeated basis, like a lengthy time, it can be challenging sometimes, but as much as we possibly can, let's make sure that we're connected. Let's make sure that we're listening. Let's make sure that we're asking ample amount of questions, especially when it comes to an important decision that they're trying to make. Of course, and then I do want to mention this: when they've gone off and they're back home, then at that point, and I'm bringing this thoughtful circle to as a follow-up to me saying let's ask questions, there's going to come a time, and some of your children are still at home. You have yet to they have yet to transition out of the home. But there's going to come a time when it may make sense to balance our questioning. And what do I mean by that? Our teens, and even now, some of you all are experiencing this now, but whereas our teens, they just want us to ask just less questions, like right now. However, to understand a certain situation or circumstance, we have to ask essential questions just so that we can have a crystal clear clue of what's going on prior to us responding. So those are two different levels of teens, if you will. One who is yet to transition out of the home, one who has transitioned out, yet they've boomeranged back. But nonetheless, let's balance those questions that we ask so that we can get a clear idea of what it is that our teens are facing. Third, as help them to remain safe as they're making these decisions. Let's make sure that we're connected. Let's make sure that we're listening. And then also, I want to make sure that we're encouraging them to think. Sometimes our teens are moving so fast and rapid, and they have so much on their plate from the time they go to school, and then they're following that whole curriculum, first period, second period, third period, of course, then lunch, then after school activities, and then they're studying at home, then the weekend. If they're playing any type of sports, AAU basketball, club, volleyball, whatever, their schedules are packed with activities. So let's allow them and encourage, inspire, and motivate them to think. Because the moment they just apply the brakes and think, that could really help them with better decision making. And guess what? As they continue to age and as that brain continues to develop, then it will become old hat that they'll be able to apply some strategies to their good decision making. I'm speaking that into existence. Praise God that their decision making will become better and better over time. But just encourage them to think, my youngest out of 3 daughters, of course, at her high school, there's the garage that the students and, some of the teachers and the parents park in as well, when we're at the school for any type of event. There's a big sign that's, you see as you're heading into the garage, and it says, stand out. Stand out. You know what? In order to stand out, because, of course, an amazing school, they want you to, be different, be unique, stand out. So when you leave this school, of course, you're doing great things. Not only do they have that sign there, that's making students and parents and faculty alike think stand out. That's the model. That's portion of the model of the school. They have in the school, up on the second floor, there's a think room. And I just think that's brilliant. Like a think room, like a whole think room, where you just go in, and I'm uncertain all of what the students do in the room, but just to have some place to go to think. My thinking starts early in the morning, right around the time of my meditation and my prayer, and just, God, what would you have me to do throughout this day? Who would you have me to interact with? What would you have me to tell the emerging mothers who are in our private Facebook group and who are on Instagram. Who do you want me to help today? You know, my thinking starts in the morning and then throughout the day. So this is what we want to get our teens in the habit of doing. It's just simply thinking. And listen, the reason I'm talking about this, because I am for mothers. That's my life calling, is to help mothers and to encourage and inspire and build up mothers, to motivate mothers. That's my life calling. From my talk today, you may think that my life calling is towards the teens, and it is, yet indirectly. And so my encouragement for the mothers is that, guess what? When our teens are doing good, then guess what? We're doing good. And so if I can encourage you towards some steps and tips and some ideas and some helpful actions to encourage and to apply in your parenting, I think it makes a world of difference. It makes a world of difference. So, of course, starting off, making sure that they remain safe, number one. Number two, connecting with them, listening to them. Number three, making sure, let's encourage them to think. Because guess what? A number of them, guess what? Their future looks so bright. Their future looks bright. And we want them to think and to focus on what it is that their future holds. We want them to do that, and so and I'm encouraged that they are. So we want to encourage them to do that, and then also, I mentioned it before. We want to make sure that we inspire them to live this life of abundance. And abundance means different things to different people. For some people, it means having joy each day of their life, or for others it could mean progressing in corporate America. For others it could mean pouring into their business so that their business grows. It could mean, again, a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So let's just continue to inspire them. And then also, I didn't even think about this previously, but let's encourage our teens to be resilient. There's so much they will face out here in this here world. And so do we want them to cower down when they run into a difficult situation and or circumstance? Do we want them to run like it's like fight or flight, and they're all about flighting? They're all about taking off and leaving. There are some things in this here life that will require our teens to stand up and to move forward, and to, like when they transition out of our home, just giving an example, and they're off on the college campus after their high school graduation, and they're on the college campus, and even this other students on the college campus, there may be, an issue. They may not necessarily get along with another student on the college campus. Well, do we want them to cower down? They went there to get a degree. And so if they go with that in mind, come heck or high water, despite, maybe the inability to maintain a friendship, despite earning a bad grade, despite being released from employment while they're there on the college campus, and they're maybe doing work study or what have you. Despite all of that, let's encourage our teens to be resilient and to remain driven in order to make sure that goal of leaving with a degree, that making sure that goal becomes a reality. So let's just allow that to be in our talk. Let's allow that to be in their speech, that we know they can do it. And as we encourage our teens up, by the time they reach the college campus, listen, they will know that they can do all things through Christ, who strengthens them. They'll know it, not just think it, not just have an idea. No, they'll know it, that they can do and overcome and master anything that's set before them. So that was just a bonus. I didn't even thank you, Lord, for dropping that on my spirit. Listen, then also I want us to also, and then I'm going to wrap this up. I won't be before you long. I want us to also make sure that we are allowing errors. Now, we already talked about the brain has yet to be like fully developed, but the errors they make and the mistakes and those mishaps that occur in their lives, let's allow that to help teach some life skills. Okay, so for instance, if our teen is experiencing a little peer pressure and they give into the peer pressure, let's allow them giving into the peer pressure to be a life skill, teach a life skill. Like, say for instance, when we're talking with them about maybe the error or the mistake that was made, let's like point to their future and just talk about some consequences and some things that could have happened, had they continued with that peer pressure, or if they fall into that peer pressure again. How about we let that be a life skill and a life lesson for them? Also, whether or not they want to hand in homework, just what that could do to their grades if that's done often enough. And will you really be admitted into the college you really want to be admitted into? I mean, you say you want to go to X, is this going to be acceptable to them? Because the high school grades, all of that is a matter of record. That means that's permanent. That can be requested, and there's nothing that will happen to those grades, and so that will be seen. So that's a life lesson. Like we want to just go ahead and just make sure that we're doing, all the homework and the bonuses and the extra credit, so that those and attend tutorials, just so that those grades can soar, and we will have done the best that we can do. We have left it all out on the court. My daughters play basketball, and my youngest one still does. You're leaving it all out on the court, and in that same vein, you're leaving it all out in the classroom. You're doing your absolutely best either way. You know what? Also, if it pertains to maybe staying out late, past curfew and doing that repeatedly and sleepy. So I think that you all may get my drift in reference to, just making sure that the mistakes and the errors that are made, the bad judgment, the poor decisions, all of that. Let's just go ahead and tweak that and turn that into teaching a life skill. Also, when I grew up, and I'll go back to some years ago, there was maybe a disagreement between myself and an adult in my family, whether it was my mother or my father or aunts or uncles, and if I had an opinion about something, pretty much the expectation was that I keep my opinion to myself, and I just go ahead and do what I'm being told to do. You know what? It's okay for our teens to voice their opinion. It really is. It's okay. As a matter of fact, I love hearing my teens' opinions about different matters, because guess what? When I hear their opinions about something, it reminds me, that there's some deep thinkers. Like, they have actually thought through, a situation or a circumstance, that they have, when it comes to a matter, they've dove in and applied a step-by-step methodical process that helped them to gravitate towards the decision that they're mentioning to me that they've made. And of course, for many of you, a number of you know that I have these 3 daughters, and one is 24, the other is 21, and then my youngest, of course, is 14. But my older 2, who have gone off to college, of course, graduated, both of them in 2021. It's good to hear them just share their opinion. It just warms my heart and lets me know that when it's time. My oldest one, she's already out. She's situated, settled, of course, many of you already know, in Colorado, because in our private Facebook group, emerging mothers. I've posted some pics, and she's got her own place in Colorado, and I'm so super excited about that. But she thinks through. She talks about. She shares her thoughts. So I love. Was I able to do that growing up? Absolutely not, but I absolutely love it, and I would encourage you as well to just allow them to just openly chat, of course, with a respectful tone. That's critical, and really that falls up under the umbrella of emotional intelligence. There are some constructs under the umbrella of emotional intelligence, whether we're talking about, of course, social awareness, self-management, a number of different constructs. And so maybe I'll have to do a session on that, just so we can begin to teach our teens emotional intelligence as well. And so, but that's good. That's good. Okay, so listen, I'm going to wrap up. I mentioned that I know about 5 or 6 minutes ago, but let's allow them, and this is it, I'm telling y'all, and then I'm wrapping it up. But let's allow our teens to, and let's help them to set realistic goals. And when I mention setting realistic goals, back when my older 2 daughters were in high school, and I would go to their school for an open house, or there would be some type of parent-teacher something, and I would interact with the teachers. That is where, and I mentioned this before, I know, in our private group, that it was dropped on me that, you know what, you probably ought to just think along the lines of engineering for your oldest daughter. My total background is business, organizational leadership. That's it. That's the world I know. And so engineering is, I would have never thought. So when we talk about helping them to set realistic goals, think back to what you see them doing that exposes to you that they're intellectually inclined in that area. Let's take, thoughts from other people who are spending just as much time with them as you are. Let's bring all of that in perspective as we teach them to look at their future and to set those realistic goals. I mean, are they analytical? Are they, more expressive? Are they more introverted? I mean, there are no, and that's something else. If you all would like me to drop in our private Facebook group this personality test, this is a test. Let me know if you want the link. I will send it to you. So that you're able to understand the personality of your teen, and then that they can take that personality test, and then that could help them to decide the major they could move towards, the major and the minor that they can move towards, of course, while they're on the college campus. So, and if you're on Instagram, listen, send me a note at Lloyd Learning Labs. Send me a note if you'd like that link. I will be more than happy to send it to you. So, nonetheless, listen, I'm going to wrap this up. As you'll see, listen, I'm in a restaurant and their music is low. This is one of my favorite eateries, so I may even grab a bite to eat before my next stop. But I love you all, and I appreciate you. And I will be right back here next Thursday, 7 p.m., tossing another tip and dropping another gem for us as mothers to embrace as we're parenting our teens. Listen, if you have yet to join our private Facebook group, search Emerging Mothers. We'd love to have you. Because there's all types of quotes and polls, and there's videos even in there in the private Facebook group. And then guess what? You can ask whatever questions you want to ask, and I'll make sure that I address them. Again, thank you so much. Love you all, and I hope to see you all soon. If not if not for sure next Thursday, but possibly even between now and then. Thank you. Take care. Bye.